AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday once again here. We're about a week and change out from Christmas, which is exciting. Got the World Juniors coming up. Football playoffs around the corner. A lot of exciting stuff. Neil now officially has snow.
College football bowl games and playoff kicking off this week. It's gonna be great.
Neil, you guys got snow now. Welcome to the club.
We did, yeah. We got about I think it's like 2.5. I think it's 3 inches. I think we got 3 inches,
Nice.
which is interesting because yesterday I was in Pennsylvania with my little cousins because we were getting our Christmas tree on the Christmas tree train adventure that we do. This was year 13 of doing it, which is like crazy how long it's been. But it snowed a lot more there. It was like 5 inches, but it was great. I mean, it was like the pictures and videos I took, like it was like straight out of a Hallmark movie. It was that beautiful and everything. And so now the snow just looks nice now that it stopped snowing and you could just look at it. Like, yeah, it looks nice. I mean, that's why my face is so white today, people. I'm as white as the snow.
And I think you hope for a white Christmas coming up too. I think everybody's getting excited about that.
It's like the old song, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
There you go. Docket for today. We'll talk about the Flames. Obviously, big win in overtime on Saturday against the Kings. We'll talk about Quinn Hughes. Obviously, that happened. We're going to be late to the party with that, of course. We're going to give our World Junior predictions as well today, too. Other Flames news going on, though, like there's nothing internally in terms of any recalls or send-downs. We'll more or less talk about the game on Saturday, where they're at, and we'll go from there. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds perfect to me. Let's do it.
All right. So Saturday, very successful night as Morgan Frost got a beautiful dish from Jonathan Huberdeau in overtime. Dustin Wolf was great. It was also they called a goal back in overtime. I believe it was Andrei Kopitar who scored the goal there on Saturday. Fortunately, it didn't go through, and now all of a sudden the Flames go the other way and win it 2-1 in overtime against a divisional foe. The Flames are 6-3-1 in their last 10 games. They've seemingly all of a sudden found their stride, and it's not great if you're hoping for a tankathon here. But just specifically, if we look at the game here, let's take a look at the positives because we haven't done that a lot this year. Overall, like they kind of dominated the game a little bit. If you look at just purely statistical wise here, shots on goal 38-21. I thought they were very well kept in the shot department. Again, quantity over quality, I would argue still. Face-off percentage, again, they didn't have a great night. Obviously, it's going to be tough though when you're going up against one of the greats there in Kopitar, who is just a face-off machine for the most part for the Kings. Power play too, again, you're 0 for 4 in the power play. Not a great look. You managed to keep it, again, that low-scoring defensive type game. Dustin Wolf had to stand on his head a couple of times, and this is just a Flames-style win. I think ultimately you kept it low-scoring. You had to keep it low-scoring, and you eventually find a way to get one done here. So, Neil, what stood out to you here on Saturday here against the Kings for an overtime win?
Well, before I do that, I just want to give out some breaking NHL news literally as of 2 seconds ago. The Sabres have officially fired Kevin Adams as general manager of the Sabres.
Whoa.
Leinen, the former Columbus Blue Jacket general manager who was the assistant general manager is hired not as the interim, but as the full-time general manager. So the Sabres have finally moved on from Kevin Adams and have begun the Jarmo Kekalainen era in Buffalo.
Era. Wow. Was that Frege?
No, that was the Sabres literally 2 minutes ago.
That was the Sabres account.
Friedman hasn't even tweeted anything about it. It's literally just right now. Came out of nowhere.
Wow. Okay. So let's pull that up. Let's pull that baby up real quick. Okay. So Kevin Adams, done. Just like that. I'm curious as to like, why now?
It's so funny you mentioned this. It's so funny this happens, Kyle, right? Because someone was talking about this yesterday from the Devil's standpoint and saying how, is Tom Fitzgerald going to get fired? Teams don't really fire GMs in the middle of the season. And then we just have this. But the difference is that it's clearly obvious that the Sabres felt comfortable with Kekalainen, who does have GM experience. We do have to give him credit where credit is
Columbus,
due.
Yeah.
He brought in Johnny Gaudreau, the late Johnny Gaudreau. He's made some other moves in Columbus that kind of helped them get to at least some form of relevance prior to obviously the last year and a half. So they certainly are hiring someone who has that experience. They are hiring within which I don't know exactly how bad of a move this might be. I maybe it's not, because Kekalainen, I think, hasn't even been there a year.
You kind of have to, though. You know what I mean? Like, you have to hire internally.
In this situation, sure.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Brendan Shanahan is definitely not going to Buffalo. That's for sure.
I know, right? So it makes you wonder, because it's constant change. Like you remember when Kevin Adams was first brought in, right? And it was going to be this new regime, right? Where you're getting these high draft picks. You go out and get Rasmus Dahlin. You go out and get Owen Power. You get all these big. It's going to be a big defensive team. I can credit Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen when he came out of Sudbury. I thought he was going to be a star in the NHL.
Me too.
And again, maybe it's just because of the situation of where he's in. I don't think he's been given a fair chance. I really like Luukkonen. I think you have to give somebody like him an opportunity still to shine. But this organization's in shambles, man. It's tough to watch. It really is. And I think it's frustrating, but it's more difficult now because you're getting to a point where, you got some of these guys locked down long-term. Fair enough. But you're getting to a point where you have to become an attractive place. You know what I mean? You realistically do, right? And for Buffalo, I know free agency is not the biggest benchmark to like you sign free agents and all of a sudden you turn into success. It's funny how we kind of look at it nowadays, though. It's a different era with free agents, right? Guys are really getting put on the market because, you're not really wanted by. It's basically the organization just saying, we're okay with letting you go for nothing. That's what it's turned into, I feel like, for free agency. And so when you look at it from a Buffalo standpoint, like a lot of the moves that you're starting to see, we'll talk about Quinn Hughes, right, and how he gets dealt. We talk about it all the time with the Flames in terms of, Rasmus Anderson and wanting to get these deals done before their contract expires, right?
Right.
Buffalo's certainly done that before. But at what point, like, you got, like, again, like, this is going to be a situation where you're going to get lottery balls. You're going to hope for a top 3 pick. And then what, right? Like, at what point, like, can you start to become an attractive organization for not only free agents, but trade partners, more importantly, is what we've been starting to see over the last maybe couple of years or so. I think that's the biggest problem here for Buffalo. And now it's like, at least you can get Kekalainen in, who has experience. But is that the man you're going to go to battle with going forward? It's a lot of things getting thrown out here, but take over.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I think Jarmo does deserve at least the opportunity to try to prove himself one way or the other. Obviously, we know in this league, Kyle, that anybody can be fired or traded or let go at any point, even if it seems like their job security is intact. And look, with Kevin Adams, we've been hearing for years now that it was only a matter of time before they fire him and they replace him. I would have thought, like everybody else, that the Sabres would just wait till the end of the year and then just start over. The other thing that's crazy about this, Kyle, in a really funny way, the Sabres have one of the longer winning streaks in the league right now. They've won 3 in a row. So the question that I have is that, did somehow winning those 3 games ultimately affect how Kevin Adams was viewed by the organization? I know that might be a stretch.
I disagree. So let me jump in.
Yeah.
I disagree because it's something clearly that happened internally here over the last maybe couple of weeks, right? This is not just something that dropped on them 3 games, for the last 3 games.
Yeah.
It just so happened that they've been able to go on a tiny bit of a winning streak,
Sure.
right? So this is something that's been brewing for a while now. But like as you're going to go back onto the market, because who knows if Kekalainen stays, as the GM here. How are you going to make it enticing for other general managers who are free agents out there to approach the Buffalo Sabres and be like, I want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be very difficult. I think that it's not impossible because there's definitely guys out there who would want to be motivated enough to tackle something like this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But with the understanding that there's going to be patience that comes with this, right? And it sucks because, you mentioned the 3-game win streak here, and then you make the news. How does it make you feel in the locker room? We have a bit of positive news here, and then all of a sudden this gets dropped on you. So it's hard to see. It's just difficult to see like the kind of direction the team's going to go in. And now you start to wonder, with something like this that happens, what are the players really? What is Alex Tuch thinking? What's Tage Thompson thinking? Right? It's not going to be long.
Yeah, I think it would be better for Kekalainen. This is just my opinion. It might be better off to really start considering the assets that you do have and really start to look to maybe move some of them, because I think you bring up a very good point. You see your general manager getting fired and you know that you're partially to blame for that. Obviously, You're going to take it personally. And also you're going to look at that and go, do I really want to be a part of this organization that is in flux right now? And you did already hire your new GM, but it kind of felt like, I don't know. I think that to not at least see where this goes for the rest of the year and then make that decision when you have maybe more candidates and more options. I don't know. I don't know if it's a panic move. I'm not going to sit here and try to defend Kevin Adams for what he did and did not do in Buffalo, because I think, quite frankly, he didn't do enough. Not even close. No. But I wonder now, Kyle, what does this mean for Lindy Ruff? I think this means more likely I could see him getting canned.
He shouldn't have been coached in the first place. Like, if we're being honest,
after his stint in New Jersey and what ended up ultimately happening at the end there, I felt like it kind of sent a message to the rest of the league that while Lindy is going to go down as a great head coach in NHL history, the game has passed him by, and so
for years now,
for years, 22-23, respectfully, when he was coaching New Jersey, was the best that I think we were going to get out of Lindy Ruff at this stage. And then the last year and a half that happened, it fell apart. Exactly. Like, that's just simply what happened. Not fully on Lindy Ruff, but obviously he's the man behind the bench, and you can't fire players, right? So it certainly it comes as a shock to us, mainly because why now? As opposed to
definitely conversations happen internally that kind of
something happened, right? And Terry Pagula, the owner of the Sabres, who also owns the Buffalo Bills, he said in a statement just now saying that we're not where we need to be as an organization. Which, if you want to read into that, you can read into it that says that, well, perhaps the analytics-based approach that Kevin Adams brought is a huge issue, which is fine. But if you're Terry Pagula, you need to take a moment and think about what you've done with the Bills to get them to where they are now and say, what did I do there that I can take and implement into the Sabres? And that is simply this. Sure. You need to hire hockey people, not not people who like may have a weird, unique approach to the game. Guys that understand what needs to be done in order to get to where you want to be.
Right.
Is Kekalainen that guy? The jury's out on him. It's hard to really figure that out. But this happened. So
yeah, I mean, and I think last thing, I think like Sabres fans know it. Like they want Ugula gone. Like sell the team, right? Because you can't look at this and go, there's so much focus being put on the Bills here, and rightfully so, right? But also too, with the ownership of both teams, where the money's coming from. Where the revenue's getting generated from, right? It's not coming from the Sabres here. And it's like, why am I wasting my time when all of a sudden the Bills are getting ready for a playoff run here? So I just feel bad for Sabres fans in that sense. I know it's a different situation with like our ownership group compared to the Sabres ownership group, because you have somebody there that clearly gives more shits about the Bills than they do the Sabres. And I think that's tough. But you also hit the nail on the head too. Like you need to hire hockey people within your organization, not just these random like advisors and stuff like that. So,
but at least you have Kekalainen, who has been a GM before and at least has some amount of relative success.
It is, but now it's like you got to put out the fire.
Yeah,
again,
you do
right
again for like the umpteenth time.
Exactly. Okay. Real quick, back to the game here.
Back to here.
Back to the game. Yeah, chime in. Obviously,
I know you wanted my.
What did you think of the game? Well, shit. Sabres fire their general manager.
Well, screw that game. No, I'm kidding. I got to be honest with you, Kyle. Watching a replay of this game, I was kind of impressed with how much I felt like the Flames kind of dictated play. I felt like they kind of came out the gate and wanted to kind of get things going right away. And ultimately, they gave up, the first goal, but it is what it is. I thought, like you said, Dustin Wolf was Dustin Wolf. And that's what, at the end of the day, we want him to be. And that was important for him to get going. And I think overall, the Flames definitely deserved the 2 points. I don't think there was a situation where I'm going to sit here and say they got lucky to get that second point. No, I think ultimately they deserved the right fake that they got. Blake Coleman is low key trying to up his value right now.
Works for me.
Yeah, I mean, right. He's almost up to 10 goals, which I think for a lot of teams who might be looking for bottom six help, a guy who is, I think, very likely going to end up double digits in goals.
Yeah,
I think that says something. And
you bet.
Ultimately, the Flames have gotten themselves into a really weird position, right? You're 8-3-1 in your last 12. You've clearly been one of the better teams in the league in the last month, which is insane to think about considering everything that had gone on at the first month and a half.
Right. Here's the thing, though. Absolutely. Totally agree. They have been over the past, 12 games? They're 8-3?
8-3-1 in their last 12.
8-3-1 in their last 12. You're still in 30th.
Yeah, I know.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You dug yourself such a ginormous hole that you go on a nice 8-3-1 streak here.
Yep.
And you're still in 30th. You're still 3 points ahead of the Canucks, who have a game in hand, and the Predators, who have 2 games in hand, and they're 2 points behind you. So all goes well here. You're still sitting in dead last, basically.
Yep.
So great, but let's bring it back down again, okay?
Sure.
Because they dug themselves such a big hole, right? I think the funny thing, though, and the crazy thing, though, is the difference between in like 5 points makes the difference here.
Yes.
Right? Legitimately 5 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Sharks have the last spot in the wild card here. Look at the teams ahead of Calgary. Just like, I'm not advocating here for them to get in, but just look at the teams ahead of them. The Sharks, who own the last wild card spot, right? Mm-hmm. The Mammoth, who for the most part have been terrible in this last stretch here.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks, now you're getting Bedard out for a little bit here. They haven't been great, right? But they need him. The Jets, who have been probably the worst drop-off out of all the teams this year.
Brutal.
they've been brutal. And it doesn't help that Hellebuck isn't there.
Yeah.
The Blues, again, can't seem to find their footing. The Kraken, maybe people kind of expected it. And then the Flames, who were tied with Seattle. So, as scary as this is to think, there's a world in which you could easily hop these teams, and I hate that.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing that's frustrating because we've talked about it all the time, Kyle. Right? We talk about it like especially in in sports in general. You don't want to be in that mushy middle where like you're bad, but you're not bad enough to get like a top 3 or number 1 pick, but you're not good enough to compete and make the playoffs and ultimately, try to run the table. So it sucks.
It's getting close.
It's getting close. Exactly. And what's really frustrating is that you look at some of the moves that have been made, i.e. Friday, which we'll talk about. And you say to yourself that the market is starting to open up now. Now we're starting to see movement in this league. You still have several assets available to you that you could get fairly decent offer, especially with the market only starting to open up. And I think that it would behoove you to legitimately start shopping people. The problem that we keep getting back to is ownership, Dave Maloney, how much control does Craig Conroy have? And another question that maybe we might have to talk about, Kyle, is this. Perhaps maybe Craig Conroy has more control than we think, and maybe he's not being active enough. I mean, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but as long as you keep letting everything go the way that it's been going, especially of late, the more confusing the path becomes, because then you don't know exactly what you want to be. You're not making it clear to yourselves. You're not making it clear to the fan base that this is the direction that we're going in. But if you make those moves that I believe are necessary, moving guys like Anderson, Kadri, Coleman, just as an example, at least if you do that, the fan base and us can go, okay, now I know what we're doing. Now I get it. This would be one thing, Kyle, if the Flames had traded off those guys and then they went 8-3-1 in their last 12, because then I would be like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we
don't know. Right.
But we know that if you remove those 3 individuals, at least the ones that I named, are they going to go 8-3-1 in their last 12?
No,
I would lean towards no. I would lean towards it would be a lot more of a struggle. So, and the other thing, Kyle, is this. Are they still really scoring that much? No.
That game on Saturday was classic Flames hockey that we've seen
100%.
the last 2 years. Right? Classic.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
One of the names you mentioned with Anderson, he's top 20 in points among NHL defensemen. Right?
Yep.
He's top 10, specifically tied for 5th in goals among defensemen. And if you're looking at it, the assist category, he, I believe, sits at around, anyway, he's 22nd, but still, overall, he's a top 20 in points offensive defenseman. With the names around him that I'd like to mention here are Matthew Schaefer, Sergachev, Seider, Riley. These are just names surrounding Anderson here. So I think now's a good transition to talk about the Hughes trade, okay?
I think it's a great time.
And more importantly, I want to talk about it before we get into the actual trade itself. To talk about what this could mean for Anderson and his value, right? So to go over it real quick, as we all know by now, as a few nights ago, Hughes gets traded to the Minnesota Wild. It's official. It's done. Going back the other way was Marco Rossi, 24-year-old here, who just put up a 60-point season. Liam Ogren, who's been back and forth with the Wild a little bit. Zeev Byam, who's going to be a stud, I think, in my eyes.
And already had himself a hell of a game for Vancouver. Yes.
You bet. And also a 2026 first-round pick that will more than likely be later in the first round due to the Wild going on a deep run here. So you look at that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Quinn Hughes, top 2 defenseman in the NHL, right?
Yep.
Top 3. easily.
Top 3 without question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you look at that. Clearly, the Wild made an aggressive move because they want to win now. They believe that was the missing piece, right?
Don't
and
blame
maybe
them.
they add more, right?
Yeah.
You got to think that that's the benchmark. And now you look at it with Anderson. I understand it's nowhere near close to what Quinn Hughes is. But with Anderson, hey, he's top 20 in points here. He's tied for 5th in goals for a defenseman, right? Somebody's going to fetch something here. So the way that I see it,
I'm with you.
And fight back on me this if you want.
Sure.
Is just by looking at the assets that were acquired. I believe it's going to take a first-round pick, which, whatever, if it's later on, I think that's fine. I wouldn't necessarily include it, but that's just me.
Yep.
It's going to take a first-round pick. I think it would probably take a guy looking for an opportunity, roster spot, young player, like a Marco Rossi. And that might be enough. So I'm taking away here in this context, Liam Ogren and Zeev Byam here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be enough to make a move, right, for Anderson. Agree or disagree?
I think I'll be honest. I think it's a bit of a stretch in terms of that same value, but I will say this. I think that Anderson can go for more than one asset. I don't think that you could simply just go and be like, oh yeah, like let's get us like a first round pick and that's it. I don't see that. And I think that when you mentioned the fact that Anderson is in the top 20 defensemen, a lot of the guys on that list, Kyle, are not even close to being free agents and don't have expiring contracts.
Yeah, it's another thing to take into consideration. Yeah,
and are not guys that are available. So the question that you have to come to is this: how much longer can you afford to let this go before you do something? Because I want to point out something, Kyle, especially this week, that I think is really fascinating.
Shoot.
The NHL roster freeze that everybody knows. It starts this Friday, the 19th, and goes until the 28th. So that is 9 days. 9 days? Yeah, I have that right. 9 days.
Yeah, 9 days. Okay.
I'm not just talking about it from Calgary's perspective. I'm talking about it throughout the league. If you're going to make a move, I feel like this is the week to do it, considering the fact, and I get it. I get it also. We have the Olympic break, in theory, coming up.
Genuine question here. During the Olympic break, is there a roster freeze as well?
I don't know. I'll look that up.
I'm curious. I don't know. Like, are you allowed to still make some moves while
because I'm curious.
Curious to see that.
I'd like to see that too. But I'm just saying that if you are going to make a move, I'm talking to everybody.
Sure.
This might be the week to do it. Just because also, right?
Right.
We don't know where Anderson's going to be by the time we get to the Olympic break.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a roster freeze, and God forbid, let's just hope this doesn't happen in general, but let's say he gets hurt. How much of a oh no moment is that in terms of the Flames trying to get something?
Nightmare.
And I think that there are teams out there, Kyle, I would venture a guess that there are teams out there that would be looking to try to acquire someone like an Anderson.
I agree.
I'll give you the same team that we have talked about ad nauseum. And that's Vegas, because Vegas actually, if we're going to believe the reports we heard, actually did try to acquire Quinn Hughes. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Doesn't surprise anybody.
It doesn't surprise. So would it surprise you if Vegas came circling back to Calgary and again went with?
Oh no, of course it wouldn't surprise anybody.
Anderson. No. I'm not saying Vegas is the only one, but
wouldn't surprise me.
When it comes to the value, I think Anderson can go for a first-round pick. As far as could they also get a top prospect, I would say B tier, just based on the fact that he's on an expiring deal. He's obviously not at the same level as Quinn Hughes, and that's just facts. That's not even being mean. But I still think you could get a decent haul back for him. And now that Quinn Hughes got traded, which, we can all stop worrying about that and move on with our lives.
Sure.
The market has been set. And now you start from there and work your way down. And it's
Pretty
not
much.
just for defensemen either, Kyle. I would say in general with players, it's a good place to at least start, work your way down, and go from there. So
I think the crazy thing is nobody expected it to happen now, right? Like maybe closer to the trade deadline, I could have seen this, but the fact that it happened now was just staggering.
Well, there was so much noise, I think, last week, just all the reporting we were hearing.
But now, this is kind of nice because now teams are going to get desperate. They're going to go, shit, the Wild are all of a sudden here, right?
Look at those 3 teams in the Central.
Makes Colorado wonder. Makes Dallas wonder all of a sudden. You know, do the Jets have to find a way back in all of a sudden? It makes them wonder a little bit, right? Well, I mean, you got bigger things to worry about here. Makes Vegas wonder, do we got to run into this team all of a sudden now in the Western Final? So I think it's more understanding he's on an expiring deal. It opens it up more here simply by the fact that I'm in my heart of heart, I really believe that he's going to end up a Dallas Star. I think Dallas. I think Dallas is going to push. I think they're going to push, and I think they're ultimately they're going to have to go through Minnesota, right? At some point, right? Whether it be throughout the regular season here, jockeying to get above them in position, not necessarily Minnesota facing them as a team. You might end up having, if Colorado continues to ascend the way they are and the way they have been, you might have to run into them in the first round. I think Dallas probably needs to match that. Right. And I think they would directly look at us. Right. Yeah. And I think there's been conversations around that. My question is are the Flames going to be willing to be like, all right, I guess we're going to take another first round pick? I would lean towards no. I think at some point you want some good prospects down the pipeline and you wonder what that could look like. But, you know, at the end of the day, you just need to make it worth it here. Do you package it maybe with a Blake Coleman, who's going to give you veteran playoff experience as well, too? I don't know.
Send him to his home state, too.
That's the thing. You could package something up here. I really, really think this is pure speculation and hypothesis here, but I think Dallas is going to become a big player here soon because now there's the fear that because Dallas has appeared in the Western Conference Final the last 2 years, all of a sudden the Wild are going, we're here.
And, you know, they don't have, you know, and they don't have Tyler Seguin for the rest of the year, unfortunately.
Bingo. I think Dallas is going to be forced to make a move.
100%. And I'm with you. I mean, we heard Dallas was interested in maybe getting like Dougie Hamilton earlier this year. That was, but that's like a sign of like, if you're Craig Conroy, you got to look at that and go, let me call Jim.
Now, to be fair, Anderson's probably going to be more attractive based on his salary cap compared to a guy like Dougie Hamilton, though.
Well, yeah, without question.
Right.
I think that the Stars explored it because I think that they were looking to see if when Dougie Hamilton is at his best, a really good offensive defenseman who could be a guy on your power play that can do a lot. Anderson can bring a little bit of scoring, but I don't think that Dallas would necessarily get him because of that. I think that they would get him to load up that team and be ready to go. And I think that that's really what it comes down to. And for Jim Nill, we know the kind of aggressiveness that he can make. I mean, look what he just did last year to get Mikko Rantanen. Now, another thing to add on to that is Dallas was able to make that move because of their drafting and developing, because of guys like Logan Stankoven. So if you're Calgary, I would look to their prospect pool. I would look and try to get something from that. And again, if you can package, if they're interested, if you could package a Blake Coleman as well,
right?
I mean, that ups the value as well. And all of a sudden you're going from getting a pick and maybe a B-tier prospect to a pick, and maybe you get one of their top 5, guys that you can potentially build upon. But that kind of goes down to the whole saying that it takes 2 to tango.
Correct.
And you'd really have to see where things go. I would not be surprised. I'm telling you, I think that there will be several trades that happen this week because of the roster freeze for the next 9 days after that. I really do think that teams are going to start loading up, especially when you just saw what Minnesota did and making a statement that says, we're here to play.
I couldn't agree more.
Minnesota can't even get out of the first round.
There's a lot of things happening, and I agree. I think with the roster freeze coming up on Monday, the 22nd, if I'm
100%.
correct. There's definitely going to be some noise coming up here. And, I mean, at that point with the roster freeze, like, you're going to be entering the new year, right? And specifically with the team, it's like, you're still, listen, you were 8-3-1 in your last 12. Obviously, you still have to play this week, but you're still at the bottom. You're still at the bottom, man. I don't care how many points out you are. So it's like, look what the Canucks are doing. Do that. And immediately when that Hughes trade happened, the first thing I thought of was, should have done it last year with Anderson. Should have done it last year. Should have sold him. Should have sold him last year, man.
It's frustrating. To answer your question, you did have a question before. There is no roster freeze for the Olympic break. So teams can make deals. Because you have to remember also, teams are going to get back to practice before the Olympics are done.
Correct.
So if you make a move, you will have time to get guys to come, get acclimated in practice, yada, yada, yada. I still think, though, the roster freeze is an important thing to keep in mind from now until Friday. Right. To say what teams out there are going to actually make moves. Because we all of a sudden saw what happened with Edmonton and Pittsburgh and trading Skinner and Jari. We saw what happened with Quinn Hughes.
Didn't even talk about that,
Didn't even talk about that because that was the least of our concern. We thought that was the only move we were going to see that day. No. And there's teams out there like New Jersey that have been rumored in a lot of different moves of late, even as early as yesterday. So I would like to think that Craig Conroy is looking around. We haven't heard anything.
No, nothing yet. But it doesn't mean things aren't happening.
This is the time, Kyle. I really do.
I think I couldn't agree more. I think, I don't know if you can wait. I don't know if you can afford to wait now because
you can't take that risk.
Like the way that Coleman's playing, the way that Anderson's playing, the way that it's like now feels like the time. And I think something can get done here, right? Yes. So I agree. Yeah, first domino started to fall as well, too. So I want to quickly touch upon that Skinner trade, actually. We'll do it quickly. We'll take a quick breather here for a second here. We'll come back on the other side. We'll talk about the Skinner trade real quick. We'll get into World Juniors predictions and wrap it all up here. So let's get into it. Every yard, every sack, and every interception, and every touchdown. With Pick 6 DraftKings' newest game, every snap can turn into a big-time payout. This isn't just watching the game. This is playing to win. Here's how it works. Pick more or less or 2 or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. It's that simple. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers can get $50 in Pick 6 credits with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. You know the game. Make it pay. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. If you play just $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. You make the call, ride the upside. It's in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
The holidays are here, and that means it's the most wonderful time of the year to save with Rakuten. Use Rakuten to stack cash back at your favorite stores on top of holiday sales. That's savings on savings. And with Rakuten, you can get cash back on gifts for everyone on your list, from toys for the kids to kitchen gear for the person who loves to cook, to electronics for everyone, and you can even save on something for yourself. Just shop the stores that you love, and cash back is automatically added to your account. And you can choose to get paid via Interact e-Transfer, PayPal.
Drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI, because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that'll change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Or checking. Join for free today and get a new member bonus after minimum qualifying purchases. Just go to Rakuten.ca, download the app, or install the browser extension, guys. That's Rakuten with an Rakuten for Rakuten. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. So, yeah, another trade actually happened that day that I think probably needs to be addressed. The Oilers make a change in net, and left a lot of people scratching their heads, as we'll get into it here. So, Stuart Skinner's time with the Oilers is done. He gets shipped off along with Brett Kulak, along with a second-round pick to believe to be in 2029 second-round pick. The Oilers will instead grab Sam Poulin and Tristan Jarry. So, kind of odd, because I like Brett Kulak. I'm shocked he went, personally. Like, that's just, to me, that's a defenseman that you kind of need in the playoffs as a stay-at-home kind of defenseman. I'm shocked that he went along here too. I understand wanting to move on from Skinner. I think there was a lot of talks about it, and eventually something was going to happen. But does it feel like an upgrade?
And that's the thing, right? I think this is a desperate move for Edmonton because
you're locked in now.
You're locked
committed,
in.
Right? You're committed to this.
There's no going back now. I would like to tell you this, Kyle. I would like to tell you that I think Edmonton is not done with making moves between the pipes. I would like to think that because we've heard Jordan Binnington to Edmonton for the better part of the last month and a half now. And if St. Louis continues to bottom out and continues to struggle on their own end, I'd lean towards that. But I'm not convinced at all that Tristan Jarry is going to finally cure this issue, because let's just take you back, Kyle, to last year. Let's just go back to last year. Do you remember that Jarry was so bad at one point that he was put on waivers and went down to the AHL because he was that poor?
Yeah.
Like, this is not a guy who is established good goaltender that you can say Edmonton made the right move here. I get moving on from Stuart Skinner. I get it. I get it because you needed to upgrade. I just don't believe that this was the upgrade that was necessary. I feel like I would say this is more of a lateral move than anything else for Edmonton. As far as Pittsburgh is concerned, I think it was honestly pretty good business for them.
Oh, what are you going to, you're not, that's the thing. You were going to drop him last year because he was so bad. I mean, you did drop him, right?
Oh, yeah.
So to acquire, Kulak, who I think is still a really good defenseman for a 5-6 slot. I think he's kind of ideally what you want, right?
Yeah.
And all right, you'll take a run at Skinner here, whatever. You're not committed to him long term. But you get that and a second round pick years down the line, too.
Mm-hmm.
And all you're really giving up is Jarry, who's not going to be your answer long term. And I think people in Pittsburgh would probably agree with that. Yeah. And Poulin, who might crack the roster here for Edmonton, maybe, if.
And the one thing I just wanted to quickly drop was that Friedman did say today, this morning on 32 Thoughts, that it's very likely that Stuart Skinner is going to be in Pittsburgh for only a short period of time.
Oh, you bet.
They're probably going to move him to someone else. I don't know what his market is at this point. I mean, he got moved for Jarry. I don't know. Maybe a team that needs goaltending and maybe that they can, because I mean, Stuart Skinner, to be fair, is also only 27, Kyle. It's not like he's still got some years left where he could be productive. So maybe it's a team that is in the middle of a rebound. I don't know. It's really kind of interesting with that, but just wanted to mention that point real quick.
I agree. The Oilers aren't done yet either, but considering what just happened with Minnesota, now it's the Oilers are trying to play catch up again. Right, you got to play catch up, and I understand you're not going to go through it. If you end up in the top three there in the division, which I think maybe by the end of it we can see that. Mm-hmm. But still, at some point you're going to have to run into whoever's going to come out of that in the Central.
Right,
it's just a doghouse in there, right? I don't think it's a shoo-in anymore that people would think that the Oilers can get back there. It's not. Uh-huh. It's going to be difficult, and now you're going to go. But here's the thing that bothers me with this trade the most. you're shipping out Skinner, who, call him good, bad, or whatever, right? Fair enough. What's the one thing he has over Tristan Jarry, though?
He's
Playoff
been to the
experience.
finals.
Right.
He's been to the finals each of the last 2 years.
Right. So as a slight upgrade is what this could be, what people are saying, upgrade, downgrade, however you want to look at it, he doesn't have the experience in the playoffs, man. He hasn't gone to game sevens before. He's never, like what? I think he had maybe, was he involved in that one series with the Rangers a couple of years back? Probably not.
Yeah, and
right?
they still lost.
But was it Nedeljkovic in net at the time?
I think it was a mix, honestly. I don't even
Maybe
remember.
it was a mix. Who knows? But
actually, wait a minute. I think it might have been Louis Domingue. Now that I think about it, I think there were injuries.
Correct. So I even think Jarry. So right, that's the thing. Jarry does not have that in-depth playoff experience, right?
Right.
Whether or not you need that on this Oilers team might be a different story because of the front load that they're trying to carry here.
Yeah.
But when it gets down to it, when there's going to be games that are going to get tight. Is that somebody you can thankfully rely on here? I don't know. And that's going to be the biggest question mark, right? Is that we're going to find out the winners and losers of this trade by the time Jarry's contract is really up and what it looked like.
That is true. That is true.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap it up here with the day. I mentioned it last week. We're going to do it today. World Junior predictions coming up as the tournament will get underway on Boxing Day next week. We got no episode next week, so we're going to do some predictions today. So with our good friends here at DraftKings, let's take a look and see what
you know that sports betting has evolved, Kyle, when we have odds for World Junior hockey.
I love it.
Great. Shout out to our friends over at DraftKings for this.
Kind of predictable here. Plus 150 for Canada and plus 170 for the US. I think it's pretty even, Steven. I don't think you can make a huge difference there, but I understand that. A lot of people having eyes on Sweden, though, this year.
Sure.
Yeah, Sweden is. Yeah. I think some people actually have Sweden as an upset pick because I think they're going to. I agree. I think they're going to be a threat this year. I think Sweden's going to be very good. Finland's going to be Finland here. I don't like Czech Republic being plus 2,200. I don't like that. I think with the way that they've played here in the last 2 years, you upset Canada in the quarterfinal last year. I think they deserve a bit more respect, frankly. So I think the Czech Republic should be up a bit more. Now, mind you, I think a lot of the guys that left the team have eventually moved on to the AHL, NHL, etc. So you're going to see a different Czech Republic team coming in. You mentioned it last week with Slovakia as a potential upset dark horse. They're at plus 5,000. And then it goes as follows: Switzerland, Germany, Latvia, and then Denmark. So before we'll dive into gold medal winners and all that. First predictions, what I want to see here is from both groups that we saw, any potential upsets that you foresee. And if you need a refresher here, the US are going to be in a group with Sweden. They're going to be in a group with Slovakia. They're going to be in a group with, I believe, Germany and I believe Denmark in that group. On the other side of the coin, Canada is going to have to deal with Finland, Czech Republic, Switzerland, and Latvia.
I think the thing that I'm keeping my eye on is Switzerland, because we talked about it last week, and I had said that this is a growing country in terms of hockey in general. You look at some of the players that have come out of that country that are significant players in the NHL. I mean, Niederreiter stands out, Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, Kevin Fiala, guys like that, that are significant players on the teams they play. And Switzerland has also put up better and better fights over the years, playing in World Juniors, World Championships as well. And I'm really curious to see, Kyle, how they perform in the Olympics, because I know that this is another big year for them. And I would think that, honestly, with some of the matchups, I think that they can definitely surprise people. I think that they could maybe sneak out a win or two that maybe they're not expected to. Maybe they give Canada a run for their money. Maybe Canada, maybe
the Czechs,
or the Czechs, right? Maybe Switzerland's like what Latvia did last year, right? Just kind of, upsetting teams and really making it more difficult. Do I think that Switzerland has the capability to make it to the elimination rounds? I would lean towards no, but I definitely could see them being guys that could maybe make things more interesting.
So you would take Latvia over Switzerland here for the medal round.
I only would take Latvia because of the experience that they've had of late and what they've been able to do.
Okay,
But it
fair
wouldn't
enough.
surprise me either if Switzerland got in over Latvia either.
Okay.
So
So the way that I see it breaking down, sorry, I should give my upset here.
you
I
should.
liked what you said last week about Slovakia. I could see them going in, and I think they'll probably end up realistically finishing in third here.
Yeah.
I think they'll make it competitive with a team like Sweden and the US. I still think that, it wouldn't be close. But having said that, being third place, right, you would take the second place team where you get Finland, Czech Republic, possibly Canada. If they end up facing a team like Finland or the Czechs, I think Slovakia could win that game. That's more or less, that's my outlook for that. I kind of look at that and go, I like that from Slovakia's standpoint. Predictions, I think how the group is going to go. I know Canada has sucked the last 2 years, and I'm trying not to be a homer here. I just think with how deep that roster is, I really think they're going to end up first in the group. I'm not saying they're going to win the gold here. I think they probably win the group. I like Finland. I like finishing second place for Finland. I think the Czechs take a step back just based on the guys that have simply left the team.
Right.
To your point, I like Switzerland over Latvia here. I think they're just a little bit more deeper personally. I don't think Latvia is going to end up getting relegated. I think they'll be fine. But however you want to jockey that, I don't think it's going to matter at the end of the day. I think the Americans win the second group in Group B. I think they win that no problem. I think all you have to do is take care of Sweden and you're good. I think what a lot of people's predictions would be. Sure. I like the U.S. over Sweden. Again, I like Slovakia finishing in third. Denmark being a new team coming in, don't really see a whole lot from that. So I'll throw Germany in just as a default. They're finishing in fourth place in that group.
Oh, yeah. I
so
think
that's the way I have it.
Yeah, and I think that honestly, Kyle, I think that we're in for a lot more competitive games than we saw last year. Because I think that you mentioned teams like the Czech Republic that maybe take a little bit of a step back. So I think you're starting to see some movement here where lower tier teams, like I mentioned before, are starting to get more guys in that are playing and are uber talented and can really gel together. And it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how this all goes down.
And before you give your prediction, sorry, I just wanted to point out from mine there, and I'll lay it out for you too after you make yours. If it looked the way that I portrayed it, it would be Canada, Germany in the middle round, US, Switzerland, Finland, Slovakia, Sweden, and the Czech Republic. So if you do so, please give me your group standings.
All right. So I need to physically bring up the standings just because otherwise
sure.
Actually, isn't it?
God, I hope I got those teams right in the groups.
Right. I'm going to bring up the table just so that we're clear on this because I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to figure this out. I don't want to be wrong here when we later on. I really don't like how the IIHF's website is. I think it's awful.
That's so bad.
There's so many ads that I can't keep up with what exactly is going on. So let me look at I don't know why I can't find it. Never mind. I found it. All right, we're good. Okay. So we'll start with, which one do you want to start with, A or B?
Whatever your heart desires.
Fantastic. All right. So we'll start. I'm going to go from bottom to top. That's how I'm going to roll with it here. So with Group A, which I believe is USA, Sweden, Slovakia, Switzerland, and Germany. That's what I'm reading here. That is confirmed. Then Group B again is Finland, Czechia, Canada, Latvia, Denmark. Just so that.
Oh, it's Latvia. Oh, okay, so I completely butchered that. I'm gonna have.
That's why it's important to look it up.
Yeah, thank you. I butchered that completely.
You're good. You're good. So the way that I look at it is, I'm gonna go with Germany in last. That's gonna be I don't know if that's a surprise to some, but I'll put Germany last. I'm gonna put Switzerland at fourth, Slovakia third, Sweden second, and the United States first. That's my Group A.
Okay.
Group A. Okay. Now, this is where things get interesting. For Group B, I'm going to put Denmark last.
Okay.
I'm going to put Czechia in fourth, Latvia third, Finland second, Canada first. That is my Group B predictions
So you've got Latvia over the Czechs.
I do, because again, what I said before about how. Also, keep in mind, Kyle, the majority, I think like 95% of the team that we saw last year is on the team again this year.
And sorry, refresh me. You had the U.S. finishing first in their group.
Correct.
And Sweden.
I had USA, Sweden, Slovakia, Switzerland, Germany.
Slovakia, and then Switzerland, Germany. Okay, gotcha. Thank
and then
you.
Again, for Group B, it's Canada, Finland, Latvia, Czechia, Denmark.
Okay, so sorry, go ahead to what you were explaining there.
Just going to say real quick that chemistry in the World Juniors is such an important thing. And I think if you're able to bring back a lot of guys that played together before and played together at a stage like that, I think that ultimately gives you an advantage. And look at that Latvian goaltender last year, right?
True.
I mean, he was phenomenal. I think he's on the roster again, if I'm not mistaken. I might have butchered that, but
okay.
I don't know. I just think that Latvia is going to be better than people think that they're going to be.
So the way that you have yours stacked up is for the medal round, you have the U.S. and and Czech Republic. You got Sweden, Latvia, Slovakia, Finland, Switzerland, and Canada. So I'll read you my predictions afterwards. Let's go through yours.
I had Czechia in fourth, by the way.
Yes, so I have them fourth, and you had the U.S. finishing first. So that's why I have that. Yeah,
sorry.
Perfect. Okay, so assuming here you have the U.S. winning.
Yep.
Right. You would have the U.S. probably winning. Sweden, Latvia.
I would take Sweden, unfortunately, but I would take it. Yep.
Okay, take Sweden. Slovakia, Finland.
Slovakia.
Okay,
take Slovakia.
Yep. So Slovakia then would be playing the U.S. then in the semis.
Correct.
And then Canada, Switzerland.
Canada.
So Canada and Sweden would be in the semis. So let's go USA, Slovakia.
USA.
Okay. Sweden, and then Canada in the other semi.
Canada.
Okay. Bronze, Sweden, Slovakia. Who you got?
Slovakia.
Wow.
Jeez
Louise. Okay,
shades of the 20. What was it? 2020. Oh, what was the last Olympics? I'm just trying to remember here. 2020.
Sorry, what are we in? 2025. So 2021 would have been the last
Olympics. Right. Yeah. When Slovakia literally did the same thing to Sweden in the bronze medal game in that year. So I think that,
All right. Gold medal game, US, Canada. What do you got?
I have to go with the defending champions. I mean, being in
I like it being on home ice.
Right. And biased aside, I mean, this is still a very talented United States team. And I think that they have the capabilities with some of the guys from last year's team coming back, guys like Teddy Stiga. I think they have the ability to do it. James Hagens, I'm really excited to see what he can do. Overall, I think that's a really strong team. But don't get me wrong, Canada's loaded. We talked about it last week. Canada is loaded and ready to go.
Yeah, pissed off.
And pissed off, which is a good combination to have going into this. Right. But I still think also it being on home ice, I think the U.S. is going to have an advantage. I think ultimately they're going to find a way to win.
Okay. I'll retry that again because that was a mistake on my end.
Yeah, so I'll help you out if you need it.
I'll quickly go through Group A. I'm staying in the same boat here. I think the U.S. get Group A to win it there. I think Sweden finishes second place. I like Slovakia still in third place, which I have. I agree Germany will probably finish in last, so I will choose Switzerland to go finish in fourth. And kind of stays the same there for the Canadians. So I've got Canada finishing in first there. I still like Finland, so I'm going to say Finland ends up finishing in second. I got the Czechs finishing in third. I don't know if there's going to be a major upset here, I find, in this tournament. I think Latvia still finds their way in, though. I like Latvia to finish in fourth place there. Not to say that Latvia wouldn't win in like overtime or something like that to the Czechs, but I think just based on points and the way that it's distributed, I think Latvia still finds a way to finish fourth and Denmark in fifth. And for what it's worth for relegation, I'll take Germany over Denmark.
Fair enough. Okay.
You had, I believe, Denmark and Germany as well.
Yep.
Relegation.
Yeah.
Who would win for you?
Oh, that's tough.
Okay, I'll come back to that. I'll come back.
Yeah, give me a minute.
I'll roll through my quarterfinals.
Keep going with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the U.S. would spank Latvia. That's what I would have there. Sweden, Czech Republic. I like Sweden there. Slovakia, Finland. I got to go against Slovakia here. I think the Finns would probably find a way to win here. I think it's going to be Finland, US. I think it's going to be a very generic semifinal this year where the 4 teams you expect to be there, I think they're going to get there. So I think it's going to be Finland there, and then Canada's going to beat the pants off of Switzerland, hopefully. So that means USA, Finland. I agree. I think the US find a way back to the gold medal game. I think the Canadians should be fine against Sweden. Yeah, I'll put Canada in there too for the gold medal game. I think Sweden would probably beat Finland in the bronze.
Okay.
I agree. I got to take the U.S. here.
Really?
I do.
Really?
I think
you were hyping up the Canadians.
I was.
Last week.
I just think that home ice is going to be like now, like it being in Minnesota. All of a sudden, they get Quinn Hughes. They're going to be rocking and rolling here for the U.S. coming in here.
Oh yeah.
Jacksall Center.
Yep.
I just think home ice being in the U.S. this year is such a difference maker. I really, really believe that. I just can't see them not walking away with this. I agree. Canada for me is loaded enough to get to the gold medal game, but all of a sudden it comes down to one game here. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on these Canadians, and you're in their barn. It's a tough ask. It's going to be a really tough ask, I think, for these Canadians. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I just think the Americans are going to find a way here on home ice. So as much as I hate to say it, I think the U.S. find a way to win gold again this year.
All right. Well, I hope.
Prove me wrong, bitches. Prove me wrong.
I hope, for my sake, I hope you're right about that, and we'll see it. But nonetheless, it's a really fun time, and again, it makes it extra special knowing that a month later we're going to be dealing with the Olympics potentially.
It's a good tune-up for it. I'll tell you that.
It's a good tune-up. It's a good excitement,
and hopefully the players can show.
I will say respectfully, I would take the U.S. losing in the gold medal game if it meant they find a way to win in the Olympics.
Win the Olympics,
respectfully.
Sure. Yeah. Do you think with the ice difference here, it being 3-4 feet shorter and looking very strange, just looking at the arena,
it looks like crap.
Do you think there would be an asterisk for anybody who wins the gold this year at the Olympics?
No.
I guess not.
Because it's not about it. It's not like, okay, look, it's not like we're playing during the pandemic or something.
Sure.
Like that.
No, I agree. I agree.
At the end of the day, if they go over there and play, it's going to be Olympic hockey.
If it wasn't the players going over playing, I think absolutely there's an asterisk.
Right. And I think
we had Germany win the freaking gold medal before.
Sure. And you have to remember that it's not the NHL themselves that ultimately makes that decision for the guys to go over there. It's the NHL and the NHLPA that has to make that decision. I can't see enough players being like, this is too dangerous, we're not going to play. Because I would venture things like, look at Sidney Crosby. If they say no, well, guess what? That's probably the end of his time in the Olympics.
Sure.
I would imagine so. And,
right. I agree. It's going to be his last hurrah. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I think that there's going to be, I think in the next couple of weeks, Kyle, next 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be really interesting to see what, how that comes up. But if that's what that stadium looks like, it's going to be tough.
You bet. All right. Yeah. So that'll wrap it up. We're going to be away next week because it's Christmas week. Everybody's going to have a nice break for that. Very well deserved. And we'll come back on the 29th, and we'll be a couple of games into the World Juniors. So we're going to take a nice look at it. And then on the 5th, which is going to be our second episode of when we're back, that's going to be the day of the gold medal game. So that should be exciting to kind of preview. A lot of fun to preview, and we'll take a look at that beforehand. Myself and Dylan are penciled in for World Junior games coming up. So I'm going to be doing the gold medal game and one of the Canadian games. I think it's against Switzerland, maybe, I think. Mm-hmm. Neil would love to see it as well, too, if you wanted to do some of the U.S. ones. Would love to see that. But again, it's going to be busy time. Enjoy the holidays, everybody. We're not going to be here next week. So Flame schedule for this week. I guess that's the last thing we should really look at really quick before we end up saying goodbye for next week. I believe they don't play tonight. They do play tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to be in San Jose, so the team we talked about earlier, them being 5 points back. Obviously, good to look at, though, and thank you for mentioning that roster freeze, because before the 22nd, you got 3 games here at the Sharks, at home to the Kraken, at home to the Golden Knights coming up. So 3 critical games coming up for the Flames here before the roster freeze for the Christmas holidays. So
It's going to be a lot. Yep.
Going to be a lot. So we'll take a look back on the other side. This team might look very different 2 weeks from now. It might look exactly the same.
We'll see. We shall see.
Good stuff as always, man. We'll be back on the 29th. Have a great Christmas, everybody. Enjoy the holidays.
Happy holidays, guys. Be well.
Drink some eggnog, and we'll chat to everybody after the break. So have a great week, everybody, and talk to you later.
Later, y'all.
Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.